Get ready with me while I tell you about the time that I met my guardian angel in person. Whenever I was 15, I got pregnant with my first daughter. Yes, I had her really young, but I wouldn't change a thing. I truly believe that if I didn't have my daughter when I did, I wouldn't be on this earth right now. Whenever I was pregnant with my daughter, we actually lived in our car for a little while until we were finally able to afford an apartment. I come from a really small town, and whenever I was pregnant with my daughter, there wasn't really any jobs around. It was very, very hard to find a job. So we had no money, we had no home, we were sleeping in our car. I was like 7 or 8 months pregnant. It wasn't the ideal situation. So I had my daughter in 2005, and we were getting food stamps. And the main reason we got food stamps was just for basically her formula, because we had to have her formula. And you know how much formula is. It's if you don't have money, 15 years old, it's almost impossible to afford formula. So we were down to the bare minimum. We only had a few dollars left on our food stamp card, and she was out of formula. We had to go get some formula, which I always considered myself a pretty savvy shopper. I always buy the off-brand things. I try to save as much money as I can. But when you don't have much and you don't get much, penny pension only goes so far, and whenever you have to buy cans of formula, that eats up your whole budget and you're basically left with nothing. So just the basic things, trying to get food for the week, the rest of the week, and to get her formula was almost impossible. But I thought that I had budgeted everything out, perfectly, to whenever we checked out, we would have just enough, because any cash on us, we were just relying on what little food stamps we had left. And we had no money. We had absolutely no money whatsoever to cover this formula if the food stamp card didn't get approved. It didn't go through. We were solely relying on food stamps, paying for her formula to feed her. And I will absolutely never forget this moment in my life where we were standing in the line at this little tiny grocery store, fingers crossed, hoping we had enough on our food stamp card to buy our daughter the can of formula that she needed, for the rest of the week. And I can remember standing in line. So this woman tapped on my shoulder, and I turn around, and it's this tall blonde woman standing behind me. And she hands me, I think it was like $13.25 or something. And I never met this woman before in my life. I'd never seen her. So I said, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This random lady coming up and giving me money." I really didn't know what to think, but I just thanked her. I said, "Thank you so much. We don't have anything, we have very little. We're teenagers with a baby, so we could use anything, you know what I mean?" So we were very grateful for that money, that $13, no matter what. And she left. She never paid for anything. She just kind of came up out of the blue. I don't know where she came from. I didn't see the car she got in. I just seen her walk out the door. I never seen her stand in line or, anything. She was just kind of there, and then she was just gone. So we're up there paying for our stuff. The cashier's ringing us up, and this is 2005, so it's an older register, and you can't really see the prices of anything, whenever they ring them up. You just kind of have to figure it out at the end whenever they tell you the total. So here I am putting everything up on, the moving belt. She's scanning things. I'm waiting to hear the total. Whenever the cashier gets done ringing me up, she tells me a total, and this total is a completely different price than I had prepared for. It was not the same price that I had everything calculated up, because remember I told you we were penny pinchers. We were very poor. We didn't have any money. We were on food stamps. We were teenagers. So I always tried to plan out our trips before we went to the store to make sure that we had enough for everything. Well, apparently the sale on the formula that I had calculated for had ended the day before, and somehow I missed that. I missed that the sale was already over that day. So my total ended up being more than what we had to cover on our food stamp card. We didn't have enough to cover it. The most embarrassing moment of my life, I would say. If you've never been in a store and you're down to your last pennies and you need every single item that you have, but you go over, so you have to stand there and you have to pick out the things that you don't need as much. You need everything that you have, but you don't have enough money to afford all of these items. You've went over your budget. So now you have to go through and pick out something that you need less that you can put back up so you can afford to buy your essentials. You can afford to buy what you need. So we completely blew our budget. We went way over our budget. Our food stamp card did not go through. It was denied. We had no cash on us. So you would not believe me whenever I tell you that the amount that we went over on our food stamp card was $13.25. The amount that we went over was exactly the amount of money that blonde lady come up to me and gave me just out of the blue. She gave me I'm pretty sure it was like $13.25 exactly. She said, "This is all I have, but I have a feeling you're going to need it." And she left. She walked away. I didn't think much of it at the time, but whenever it came time for us to pay, and I calculated wrong because the sale had ended, and the amount that we went over and couldn't afford was the exact amount that this lady came up and gave us. I mean, that's like a miracle. I was like blown away. I was absolutely shocked, and I have never had anything like that happen to me again to this day. So thankfully, because of this woman, we were able to buy our formula for our daughter that she had to have to eat when she was a baby, all because of this lady came up and gave us this money that we never met. We had no idea who she was. I've never seen her again in my life. And that is the story of the day that I met my guardian angel. So just remember to always be kind to somebody because you never know what they're going through.